A decision can feel good immediately and still fail later because relief now often feels more real than regret later. That is why many bad choices do not begin as foolish choices. They begin as understandable attempts to reduce pressure. Someone delays an awkward conversation because today is already stressful. A manager ignores a small problem because the team is exhausted. A person spends money they intended to save because the purchase creates a brief sense of control. From the outside, these choices can look careless. From the inside, they often feel practical. The important detail is that the short-term choice usually solves a real problem. It lowers anxiety, it avoids conflict, it removes effort. It gives the mind a sense that something has been handled. That is why simple explanations miss the point. People are not always choosing pleasure over responsibility. Often they are choosing certainty over uncertainty. The relief is immediate, measurable, and emotionally loud. The future cost is abstract, quiet, and easy to negotiate with. This creates a hidden trade-off. The decision appears to buy comfort, but it may actually be borrowing from a future version of the same person. The avoided conversation becomes a larger conflict. The ignored problem becomes more expensive. The skipped discipline becomes a harder restart. The choice made sense in the moment, because the moment supplied the strongest evidence. The discomfort was present, the consequence was distant. So the puzzle is not why people knowingly ruin the future. The deeper question is why the present gets such a powerful vote. And once that is clear, short-term relief starts to look less like a solution and more like a very convincing signal. The mind does not treat all consequences equally. A cost today feels heavier than the same cost next month. A reward now feels more powerful than a larger reward later. This tendency is often called present bias. Present bias does not mean people are irrational in every moment. It means attention and emotion are tilted toward what is immediate. The brain evolved to respond strongly to urgent discomfort, hunger, fear, social threat, uncertainty, exhaustion. Those signals demanded action because in many environments, a delayed response could be dangerous. But modern decisions often punish that old wiring. The pressure is immediate while the damage is delayed. Eating the extra portion feels rewarding. Now, the health consequence is gradual. Avoiding the difficult email feels peaceful. Now the trust cost appears later. Taking on too many commitments feels helpful today. The burnout arrives after the praise has faded. The mechanism is delayed. Consequence, discounting. The farther away a consequence feels the less weight the mind tends to give it. Not because the consequence is unreal, but because it lacks emotional force. This is why advice, like just think, long-term is often too weak. The future is not merely a date on a calendar, it has to compete with the body's current demand for relief. And the current demand has volume, urgency, and proof. There is also a feedback loop. Each time short-term relief works, the mind learns that avoidance, postponement, or indulgence reduces discomfort. That lesson is true in the short run. But if the future cost is slow, the mind may not connect it clearly to the earlier choice. So the danger is not one bad decision. It is a system that keeps rewarding the first half of the decision and hiding the second half until later. The real outcome of a short-term decision often arrives after the relief has already disappeared. That delay is what makes the pattern so hard to detect. The conversation avoided on Monday may become resentment by Friday. The work postponed for an easier evening may become panic before a deadline. The small financial escape may become a constraint when a real need appears. In each case, the original choice did not feel destructive. It felt relieving. This is the wider pattern. When relief is immediate and cost is delayed, the mind can mistake a transfer for a solution. The pressure has not vanished. It has often been moved to another time, another person, or another version of the self. This matters beyond personal habits. Organizations do it too. A company may cut maintenance to improve this quarter's numbers. A team may hide bad news to preserve morale. A city may postpone infrastructure work because delay is cheaper than confrontation. None of these choices has to come from malice. Many come from incentives that reward visible relief and punish immediate discomfort. The useful mental model is the relief invoice. When a decision feels good, mainly because it removes pressure, ask where the pressure went. Was it solved or was it deferred? Was the cost reduced or was it made less visible? Who receives the invoice later? This does not mean every hard choice must be made immediately. Sometimes waiting is wise. Sometimes recovery matters. The point is not to reject relief. The point is to distinguish relief that restores capacity from relief that quietly creates debt. A better decision often begins with one small question. If this feels easier now, what becomes harder later? That question does not remove present bias, but it gives the future a voice before the present has already spent it.